I'm always making videos about churches like Notre Dame or Saint-Chapelle or even the other cathedrals like Beauvais, but there are many other medieval Gothic churches in Paris that I recommend you see in order to expand your Gothic mind. Everyone knows Notre Dame Cathedral and the Saint-Chapelle, but do you know about Saint-Merry, Saint-Laurent, Saint-Martin-des-Champs, and Saint-Nicolas-des-Champs? These are just four of the many smaller churches that dot Paris so thoroughly that you probably walked past many of them without knowing it. I actually got to explore the church of Saint-Laurent the most during this past trip. I didn't originally have this church on my bucket list. In fact, I didn't even know about it. But the reason I did visit it, 3 or 4 times in fact, is because it's right next to the Gare de l'Est, the station of the East. I had to go through the station to travel by train to Rennes and Laon, so I popped in to take a peek every morning I left, and every afternoon I came back to Paris. It's actually an incredible little church. I got to see it with a mass during Easter. Before I learned more about it this trip, I don't think I would have gone out of my way to see it more than once. That's because I don't understand late Gothic style that well, and that's the style that Saint Laurent is mostly built in. In fact, it was built in the 14, 15, and 1600s in Flamboyant. The facade is neo-Gothic from the 19th century, by the way. Before this, truer to architectural history, there was a neoclassical facade, probably not unlike Saint-Gervais-Saint-Protais. Indeed, we have a photograph from 1865 of exactly what it looked like before its neo-Gothic reconstruction. The church went through much the same history as every other French church did during the Revolution. It was closed, probably damaged a bit, turned into a temple of reason, and eventually returned to the Catholic Church for use under Napoleon. It was under Napoleon III that the Haussmann boulevards were created, and that's when the neoclassical facade had to be demolished because it peeked out a little too much into the new street. The neo-Gothic facade was designed by Simon-Claude Constant Dufour. The interior is arguably way more interesting because it's actually medieval. It represents the latest phases of Gothic, simplified pier moldings, two-story elevation, though many parish churches had 2 stories anyway, the creeping in of Renaissance elements, and the thing that stuck me the most, extremely simple cubical pier bases. I was all about pier bases on this trip because I was ecstatic to see Saint-Maclou in Rome and the famously intricate pier bases of the 15th and 16th centuries, especially with Martin Chambige's pier bases in Saint-Étienne of Beauvais and Beauvais Cathedral. You can tell that the pier bases of Saint-Laurent were not supposed to stay like this. The clunky blocks were supposed to be carved according to the latest fashions of the time, probably just like Saint Maclou and Rome. The exact same situation can be seen in the Cathedral of Blois, where the chunky blocks in the weird Baroque-era triforium are supposed to be the elaborate coats of arms, as was successfully completed in 2 or 3 bays of the nave. The rest of the spandrels in Saint-Laurent were probably also supposed to be carved according to the elaborate 1650 design of Antoine Lepotre. He might also be responsible for the beautiful Baroque remodeling of the choir. The woodwork and current altar is from the 19th century, and the stained glass is from the 20th century by the Atelier Gaudin. One of my favorite parts of the whole church is the south transept. It's just the way the clerestory is non-glazed, or blind is the technical architectural term, and the really simple late Gothic rose window that didn't care about tracery anymore the way the earlier rose windows did. Something about that late Gothic, early Renaissance simplicity and classicism was just really appealing to me. I don't know if I can express it quite yet. By the way, the huge keystone bosses in the church actually all have sculptural details, some of them depicting the Passion. I wasn't able to see them, they're too high up, and I wasn't even aware of them until I got back. But if you visit Paris and visit this church, just know that there are tons of little details waiting for you to relish. It's only 2 or so blocks away from Gare de l'Est, so if you ever take that train station, know that this little gem of Gothic architecture is just a stone throw away. If you liked this video, please like, comment, subscribe, and share.